Selectmen meeting. It's 6 p.m. I'd like to stand for the moment of silence and pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to tonight's agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll go right into announcements. Agenda approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written tonight.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Announcements. The public participation policy applies to all selectmen meetings. A copy of it is on the back of each agenda, posted outside this meeting room and on our website. We have a public hearing scheduled for 6:05 for the acceptance of the Welcome to Alton sign. However, seeing that we have no appointments, I'd like to jump right into new business number one. The Town Hall murals recognition for Joan Burns. Is she here?
Yes.
Come on up. So this is in recognition of the Asian creating the First World. The murals have been of interest to many residents in Bitter's life and leaders who for farming. Thank you. Of course you do, Chris.
Well, I just want to thank, excuse me, and thank you, by the way. I just want to say thank you very much for coming. I see familiar faces around here and I appreciate it. It was a pleasure to do the murals. The Historical Society, Nancy Murrow came to me in '94 and asked if I wanted to do murals, and I said sure. And it seems that the Historical Society had approved, the Dame family in particular funded the Alton mural, and then later the Fry family in Alton Bay supported the Alton Bay mural, and it was a lot getting going. And when I get in here, it was like, oh my God, this wall is big. And the town's been great. They just covered it and made it smooth so I could paint. It was just sort of cement blocks. And the Historical Society gave me old calendars of old pictures of town. And so I tried to make it look something like an old photo album. And that's how it got started. And like I say, everybody's been great, and I just love this town. And there's a few little trivia that I'll tell you about. If I see you downstairs, I'll tell you about things that happened that were unexpected but kind of fun. And I just want to thank everybody for being so supportive. And that woman right there is my daughter-in-law, and this wouldn't have happened without her because she tried to find the murals online and she couldn't find anything. And she says she wanted me to have recognition. And I said, but I have been recognized. You know, I had a back 96. Have I got that right? And it was a bicentennial, and they certainly did recognize me. But anyway, she wanted to have my name out more than it was. But in doing so, she ended up drawing attention to this town and how marvelous it is. And people in our future will come in and maybe see this. And I did some information sheets, and they can read those and see a little something that was here, because there's wonderful stories behind those pictures, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for this opportunity. So, and she's just great. 31 years ago that I sat down to the drawing table. Who knew this was going to happen? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Trying to hide.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go down one more.
Go down one more.
I bet.
Andy.
I would like to let everybody know that downstairs, you'll see these packets, and the town had them made up, so there's pictures of the murals and the description for the murals on the pamphlets downstairs. Okay, the town made those for you, so you can, the descriptions for each one.
You're welcome. Most definitely.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now.
All right, we'll go to the public hearing at 6:05, the acceptance of the Welcome to Alton sign. Showing public input first. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Might need to lean forward. It's.
I'd like to open the public hearing at
07?
6:07.
Anybody has.
Does anybody have any public input towards the sign?
Sure.
Just happy for Ruth Arsenal and her dedication to really fundraising and making this Welcome to Alton sign come to fruition. It took a little while, but to actually get it going, but it took her no time at all to raise the funds. So just thank you for her efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Well, if, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, while we're waiting to see if anybody else has any comments, Ruth wasn't able to join us tonight. She just asked me. I know she had kind of recapped her efforts for the board last meeting, but since we're at the public hearing, I did print out a copy of what the sign is. It's 84 inches wide by 48 inches high. And it has 8-inch by 8-inch by 12-foot granite posts. This has all been arranged and paid for through sold donations from members of the community and in the surrounding area, and also working through a local sign company, Alton Signs, here in town. And the plan is that we have that location staked out in the traffic circle in the open area facing traffic coming in from the Durham side of Route 11, directly across from the McDonald's Homestead Place area. We are waiting. I did get an update this morning from the DPW director. The DOT has all of our paperwork for the permissions that that the DOT requires to put the sign on state property. It's sort of a maintenance agreement. Everything looks to be in order. They didn't seem to have any issues, but we have not received it back as of today. There was another message sent out because we have told them that, should we be able to, DPW intends on getting this in before 4th of July weekend. That's the goal.
That would be ideal.
That would be ideal. Unfortunately, right now, the only thing we're hinging on is not the money, not the sign, just the maintenance agreement through DOT.
Okay.
If we do have that, we will be able
Be able
to
to
take
get it
care of
done,
it.
push forward. Where's the sign held right now?
The sign right now is at Alton Signs, Todd
Basically,
McKinney.
he still
Yeah.
has it.
He has the sign. He's going to do
But
the.
it's all ready to go.
Yeah, and he's doing the install too.
Perfect.
Yeah, so,
So I'm just curious, the first time we saw this, I raised the question that I have no idea what the materials are that this sign is made out of, and I still don't.
okay. What was relayed to me was that it's all made out of composite material. That there's no, it's not a natural wood sign or whatnot. It's designed to be low maintenance,
Yeah,
if not
maintenance
maintenance
grade.
free, for the long haul. And obviously the posts are granite, the brackets are black metal. And my understanding is it's mimicking the construction of Alton Signs, did the same sign across the street at the Gillum Museum. The two black brackets, and the granite posts. It's just a smaller version Well, that's a smaller version of what is gonna be out there, but same type of material and composition.
Okay. And the raised letters, are they applied, or is this a relief blast on the composite material?
Applied.
It was applied, I thought it was, like raised, I thought the letters were supposed to be raised, no? It's just flat.
My understanding is
Okay.
it's applied.
It's applied raised letters is what it is.
I didn't know we were expecting that kind of wind.
I gotta make sure that we still have shingles on the roof.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. I got stuff that's probably blowing all over the place.
All right.
There's no more comments.
Yeah, if there are any more comments from anybody about the Welcome to Alton sign, we'll close the public hearing and we'll go to acceptance.
I'll make a motion to accept the Welcome to Alton sign in the Alton traffic circle on the state property, exactly as it's written and how it is presented to us this evening.
Second.
All those in favor, gentlemen?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I did skip a little bit ahead. Public input.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just before we go on from there, I wanted to get one more, either motion or consensus from the board. One of the other things that they had asked is they were able to raise money above and beyond what the sign had actually cost to install. And as the money was coming in, they wanted to see whether or not, and I did check with legal, and it would be fine if the board wanted to make a motion to establish a trust fund to put any of the excess proceeds through donations into that account for the future maintenance and upkeep of the sign.
So moved.
Okay, yeah.
So moved.
So
Yeah.
moved. Yeah, that makes it easy.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Do you want me to,
Take a vote.
yeah, take a vote second? Do I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good. Thank you.
Public input limited to 3 minutes per person on agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll move right on back into new business. Number 2, Parks and Recreation Proclamation. All right. So I will read these. There's a two-parter. You want me to just go ahead and read them, Cal? All right. You want to come up?
Come right
You can
on
come
up. Sit, come right up here.
Hop in the hot seat up there. All right. A proclamation celebrating July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas parks and recreation are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Alton, New Hampshire. And whereas parks and recreation are a valued pillar to a thriving Alton community and its contributions to cultural vibrancy such as local events, celebrations, community-led programs, and spaces for physical activity, relaxation, and social interactions. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being, and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for sports, hiking trails, swimming areas, and many other activities designed to promote activities, lifestyles, and wellness. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas we acknowledge the theme for Parks and Recreation Month, Build Together, Play Together. This emphasizes cooperation to create sustainable parks, thriving communities focused on health and wellness, high-quality, accessible programs, and meaningful connections through participation and volunteerism. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas the Town of Alton Board of Selectmen recognizes the benefits derived from Parks and Recreation resources. Now therefore, the Town of Alton Board of Selectmen do hereby proclaim that July 2025 is celebrated as Parks and Recreation Month. and encourages all residents to show their support and contact our Parks and Recreation Department to participate in or volunteer for an upcoming event, program, or project in July or anytime throughout the year. One more. Yep, all right. A proclamation celebrating July 18th, 2025 as Parks and Recreation Professionals Day. Whereas the Town of Alton Board of Selectmen acknowledge that the Parks and Recreation field is a diverse system that contributes to community-wide health and wellness through various organized and self-directed activities that improve personal, social, environmental, and economic health. And whereas the Town of Alton Board of Selectmen recognize the significance of town parks and recreation services that enhance the lives of citizens, making the community a desirable place to live, work, and visit. And whereas the Town of Alton Board of Selectmen value the expertise of parks and recreation professionals in fostering community cohesion and resiliency, connecting people with nature and each other, and providing opportunities for healthful living, social equity, and environmental sustainability. Sorry about that. And whereas the Town of Alton Board of Selectmen appreciate the commitment of parks and recreation professionals and volunteers to offer recreational and developmental enrichment for children, youth, adults, and older adults, and ensure that parks and recreational spaces are clean, safe, inclusive, welcoming, and ready to use. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Town of Alton Board of Selectmen do hereby proclaim July 18th, 2025 as Park and Recreation Professionals Day in the Town of Alton, and encourages residents to celebrate this day and express appreciation to our parks and recreation professionals, staff, and volunteers for their contributions to the community. Adopted this day, the 24th of June, 2025.
Very much. We greatly appreciate that.
Very good again. Moving into new business, number 3, the fire department equipment and project needs. Chief, what's happening?
Not much is.
Oh, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for the opportunity to speak tonight. Looking for some approval on some capital funds to utilize for some equipment and projects that, some of them we were slated to do in the operating budget for 2025, but obviously we're in a default budget. And then over the course of the last year or so, given me the opportunity to kind of do a real in-depth like inventory of equipment and needs of the department. And just seeing if any approval, and then if you had any questions, I don't know if you want me to go through, you should have received a kind of line by line from each fund. If you had any specific questions on any of those items or the equipment or anything specific, or how would you like to handle?
Just the, I got a couple questions.
Yeah, and I'll have a
If I
few
may.
after that.
The central station upstairs renovations, what are
Yep.
you renovating up there?
So basically, with the increase in staffing, we're running out of kind of room for
Punk room.
bunk rooms. And then obviously we have some co-ed shifts going on, so we want to make sure that we address that. The other issue is the bathroom. There's significant water damage in the main floor. We've kind of patched and repaired that. Looking to see, we have a carpenter that's actually on staff now, so willing to kind of work through the project, and this would be basically for materials.
15,000 was comfortable. It seemed like
Correct, to
that was enough.
redo the bathroom and basically readjust the bunk rooms and the living room area, if you will, kind of switching the spaces around and utilizing the space better to the needs for the duty crews. It's one of those things of where are we going to be in the next 2 years or so, like with possibly with renovations or new central station. So I don't want to throw good money away, but also if we're going to be a couple of years down the road,
Yeah,
that
got to bring it up to where it's got to be.
and try and make it a little bit more comfortable for them at decon, showering, living space.
The only other question I had was the ambulance to corrosion and paint.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that the box was in need of some repair. I know
Correct.
that.
So basically, where the reflective stripe is along, I'd say 2/3 down, the bottom all the way around has I consider significant corrosion. It's aluminum box.
Yeah.
It's a 2018. We're trying to make that last as long as we can. I believe we're looking at 20, I just want to make sure I get there, we're trying to make it last until at least 2034. So we're looking at another 9 to 10 years before we go to replace that, and don't want to see the corrosion get any worse and then more of a cost to fix that.
Was the 30,000, is that for stripping the entire box, treating the aluminum corrosion that's there?
Correct.
Prepping it, painting it, the
Repainting it.
brand new
And then
decals,
also
everything?
new flooring on the inside of was part of that quote as well.
Is he gonna do the inside of the compartments too, or just the main box itself?
Just main box or anywhere there is corrosion, so
Yep.
if the door's hitting a lip or whatnot, fixing the corrosion in there.
You feel like that's enough to bring it up so it'll last that long?
Yes, comfortable with that. Obviously, it is kind of a big number, but it is far significant less than obviously a new ambulance at $500,000 by the time we go to replace this. I can work on, I only received one quote so far, so it's through an ambulance company, kind of specialty in that area. So if the board wanted to see a different quote from another company that does paint and body work, I'm more than happy to do so, or if they're comfortable kind of letting it go to a company that specializes in emergency equipment and how all that stuff.
If I may, I remember we had briefly discussed this and I made a couple calls myself.
Yep.
And we ran into the same problem of trying to find somebody that would repair it. I called 2 or 3 for you guys. I called a couple and they wouldn't even touch it because it was an aluminum ambulance body. I mean, trying to find somebody that's going to do it is going to be really difficult. It's a normal body shop. So that I understand. I was just curious who was it going through? And that's
Currently,
the
one quote we
concrete.
got was who we purchased the last ambulance, it was Autotronics.
And that's concrete, like they're confident it won't go above that?
That way, I say, give me like worst case scenario.
And that's worst case.
Worst
Okay.
case scenario. It was like, I put 30,000, it was like 28 and some change and just a little bit of a buffer
In
just in
case.
case.
Yep. Go ahead.
I have a few questions, actually, and just simple. The mobile radio replacement, can you enlighten us a little bit what that entails? Is it the whole unit? Is it lots of it? Or
So
is
basically, it would
a piece?
be the brain of the radio and then the radio head. So currently, the ones that need to be replaced are obsolete. They're a Motorola product, Astro Spectra, that they no longer service. So basically, we can't get them reprogrammed. So we just went through a reprogramming with all our other radios in case we get a new channel lineup. If the state edits or makes changes into their key code, if you will, for the entire state, then we have to kind of follow suit. We can't get them reprogrammed because it's software that's no longer the software doesn't apply to the radio. They won't let it won't be updated easily, is what I'm saying, or at all. So basically, the mobile radios are 2 in the engines, and then 1 is the base radio in the central station.
Okay. So, and that 16,000 area is
Yeah.
enough to cover
Correct.
all those replacements?
Yep, with installation and.
The rotary saw,
Mm-hmm.
$1,500. How old is that? And
So it's nearly 20 years old. We found, I think it's a compression issue. We've had it serviced. They can't seem to get it to fire up and start. Basically, it's utilized for metal type materials, garage doors, sheet metal, chains, locks, stuff like that.
Okay. That makes sense. Personal protective equipment replacement, to what degree is that entail?
So that was a big one that was on the docket for this year because we have 5 sets that are expiring at the end of this year. That's basically turnout jacket, bunker pants. They're approximately $4,000 a set. They do take, I have it in the CIP now for 2026 for a larger purchase. However, we need these sets to be replaced before the end of 2025 to maintain NFPA compliance. And the fact is that when we order them, it may take 3 to 6 months to get them delivered. So I want to try to be proactive and get that order submitted for those 5 sets that were expiring.
Okay. The only last one I've got is actually, just curious, the ice rescue suit replacement. How many, is that Just one suit?
That's, four sets.
suits. Four sets.
Yep, and I was gonna split that between, they're about $1,000 a piece, and splitting that between the ambulance revolving and the fire department equipment fund. Basically, they have about a 5-year shelf life on them.
That's
They're
what I'm
older
gonna
than
get,
5
that's my
years.
point, is how long do they last and how often should they be replaced or do they have to be?
So basically, they have about a 5-year shelf life. There's certain maintenance that you do to them to try and prolong that. Basically, it's mainly in the zippers where you get your leakage. So we found that they have some significant leaks over this past winter. We had a couple calls, and then we did a nice big training over in the bay. And everyone that wore them came out
They were
pretty wet.
Okay.
So that-
Stands to reason.
So that's $4,000 total? So
Correct.
$2,000 per?
Correct.
Okay, so it's not 4 from each?
No, so it's 4,000 total, 2,000 from, I was just trying to
Yeah.
even it out a little bit because we do utilize it for fire and EMS related incidents.
Nope, I was just,
I asked that same question
Yep.
to the police department and when they replaced their flak jackets,
Yep.
if you will. And just, I sometimes wonder how things get worn out if they're not used that often.
Yeah.
And I know they have the shelf life like anything else.
So like with your PPE, you could have a brand new jacket, and I say brand new, it's still in a package and it's manufactured 10 years and 1 day. And you issue it to someone and God forbid something happens, and after an NIOSH report comes out and they said, well, he had it, or she had, their PPE was expired and it goes against the NFPA's recommendations or standards, and then we kind of foot a bigger bill for that, unfortunately.
Well, thank you.
Jim, do you get, are you able to get multiple quotes on most of these items, or are they so specialized that?
Some of them, yes, some of them, no. It depends on, do you have anything specific you want to, which ones or
No,
anything?
I'm just curious if.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there are different manufacturers that produce PPE. We typically, we purchase through Globe. They tend to be, my opinion, the better of the personal protective equipment and manufacturers. I have personally used other equipment and it hasn't lasted as long. The other benefit is they are, and our sales rep is Bergeron's right down the road. So if we have a tear or any sort of repair or deep cleaning, that they're able to handle that relatively quickly with a fast turnaround versus trying to ship that out to somewhere in California and waiting weeks or months to get that return.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
I got just a quick question, since we didn't touch on this one, but I think we had all the others, but the inflatable boat.
Okay. So obviously, we have 3 boats in our fleet. The inflatable boat is utilized primarily for things like meeting the river, smaller bodies of water where our fireboat is obviously docked in the bay. My understanding, this was purchased via donation via Amazon approximately 12 years ago. It's a 3-chambered boat. We are having moderate leaks in it, so it is taking time to reinflate it when I'm concerned that we're going to be out in a body of water and lose air. The boat I'm looking to replace it with is a 5-chambered boat, so if we were to possibly puncture 1, maybe 2, that we could still stay afloat. I'm concerned that if we lose 1 chamber in that we'll be at the bottom of the whatever body of water we're in. But we would be transferring all the other equipment, the motor, all that stuff from the old boat into the to the new one.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Right. Well, I will make a motion.
You have to, just because they're different funds.
Yeah, right.
I know I gotta do
I
each
was
one.
gonna do each one individually, yeah.
All right, I make a motion, we allow the chief to use $50,500 from the Fire Department Capital Equipment Fund. It has a current balance of 1.1 million to replace the items listed. Do you want me to list each item, Ryan?
No.
Nope.
Just as presented.
As presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I would also like to make a motion to allow the chief to expel $43,000 from the ambulance revolving fund with a current balance of $937,000 as presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief.
Oh,
There's
there was
just
one more.
one.
Oh, there was one more. The building improvement, capital reform.
I make a motion, we also allow the chief to expel $15,000 from the Fire Department Building Improvement Fund that has a current balance of $643,000.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you once again for your support.
Absolutely.
Very appreciated.
Thank you.
Ryan, you okay? All right, no
Oh.
problem. All right, moving on to old business, the solid waste roll-off truck lease purchase documents. So did you guys have a chance to look at this briefly, gentlemen? I know it was placed before us. Yes.
So this was, some of this information was just handed
Just
out
handed.
today.
Just came to us
Yep.
tonight.
Yeah.
So the main issue why we're doing this is the municipal, can I borrow this? I don't know where mine went. The Municipal Capital Finance Company that we want to use is allowing us to just enter into it. We've used it before in the past. However, Franklin Savings Bank, who we used before, AKA the, it's, oh, there it is, known as Univest. They want us to get a legal binding document from our legal representation at a cost of almost $3,000 just to enter into the contract with them for the truck. So if we go with Municipal Capital Finance, it's the exact same. However, we're just able to enter into it sooner without having to jump through all the hoops. That's why we want to do it this way instead of the other way. Everything else is the same. The interest rate, all of that stays the
It's
same.
it's actually $200 less a year. The interest rate's a little bit less. The payment-
5.35.
Yeah, the payment is almost exactly $200 less a year. So it is less money, but to your point, and I apologize, I had to step out for a minute, but it's going to save us roughly $3,000 in legal fees.
Just at the get-go, right
Just
out
at
of
the
gate.
get-go, yeah.
Yeah, right out of the gate.
Good right there.
Sorry, I looked at the wrong numbers.
No, that's right.
No, I stole yours.
It's okay.
Are there any questions about just moving it over from a bank to the Municipal Capital Finance?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
No problem.
Mr. Carter?
I got no issues.
All right. I will make a motion. We allow Seth to enter into a contract with Municipal Capital Finance instead of Franklin Savings Bank, also known as Univest, for the lease purchase of one 2025 Mack Granite truck with the accessories. The total amount to be financed is $255,811.
Second.
To allow the town administrator as the agent to sign.
Still second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, boys.
And along those lines, there's another document that legal had produced called a resolution. The resolution is just in fact, basically breaks down the board's authorization to lease purchase the roll-off truck for $255,811. The legal counsel had presented this today and asked me to see if the board would adopt the resolution, basically as a guideline for the purchase.
So I will make the motion that we approve the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize $855,811 of lease.
No, 255,000.
All right, 255,811
There you go.
of lease purchase financing to fund the purchase of town vehicles be approved in form presented at this meeting, and that an attested copy of said resolution be included with the minutes of this meeting.
Nailed it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Selectmen reports. Gentlemen, Mr. Carter, what do you got?
I took notes. The Conservation Commission, so we reviewed a presentation on the storm water plans for the Sugar Hill subdivision. And the Conservation Commission again voiced concerns about the maintenance and long-term effects of West Alton Brook and the maintenance of their drainage system. We reviewed repairs to a crib dock at Madelman Lane, culvert installation at JT Lane, and the water testing has started in Winnipesaukee with the coordination of UNH and the Lake Winnipesaukee Alliance.
Perfect. Mr. Shea?
We had our first meeting of this year with the Milfoil Committee last week, and it appears that we are going to be in pretty good shape in terms of meeting the budget criteria. The state is once again backing a 50% rebate, which will help obviously a great deal. And the initial projections for Milfoil that we'll have to deal with are within the limits that we can fund with the present budget. So if Mother Nature cooperates, we'll be in good shape. And the hazardous waste activities, we had a hazardous waste collection effort in Wolfboro this past week. And that went well. I didn't hear any issues. I believe we have one scheduled for Alton in late July, but I didn't write down the exact date. And the swap shop seems to be going very well. They did shut it down yesterday because of the high temperatures. Was probably a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
And I hope it didn't inconvenience anyone, but maybe by next week we'll get some decent weather and we can go at it again.
Thank you, sir.
I have nothing at this time.
The Water Bandstand Committee will be going out to do the painting, touch-up, on general check over on everything, and a few deck boards that we noticed that needed to be replaced. So that'll be taking place Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. We'll be going out there and we should be able to finish it in that day.
Don't they have a wedding schedule for that coming up too? I think there's a wedding scheduled up there.
It's sometime in July.
Is it July?
I thought.
I think it's July.
Yeah.
All right. We got anything else?
Nope.
All right. I have the planning board, two things. The planning board, we did a couple lot line adjustments, nothing crazy this month. Couple small subdivisions where they're just breaking off small portions of land for their family members. And Drew, sorry, I got the numbers wrong on that truck. I thought it was exactly the same. I read the wrong one. And here we go. What do you got? I did.
That's it.
Thanks. That's my pass right there.
Got it.
So town administrator reports.
All right, couple updates for you. First of all, New Hampshire DOT reached out. They scheduled a meeting for July 8th at 11 with all of the department heads that will be involved in the culvert replacement on Route 11. So they are gearing up with information and talking to fire, police, DPW. So there's a 1-hour meeting that's sort of the kickoff meeting for planning and stuff. So I'll have more information to bring back to the board as that proceeds. I just wanted to give you an update that they are gearing up for that. The other thing is the tank sensors from Highway Department. I did authorize the replacement. It was the total expense. The labor was $1,750. The parts came to $2,335. So a total of $4,085.
Were they able to do the,
Yep.
okay.
So what that included was, they have not only a visual light alarm, a sound alarm inside the building, plus a light and sound alarm outside the building. And it is directly tied into the alarm, notification panel. So the responder will be called from the alarm company should it go off. So it's definitely an upgrade to what was there and what was not functioning anymore. So therefore, with that said, Seth did ask if the board was agreeable to it. We did move forward with it with the assumption that we needed it, it had to be done. And we didn't want to wait too much longer in case another storm or something filled those tanks. But if the board is agreeable to making a motion to allow him to expend that $4,085 out of the highway building capital reserve, that would be preferable versus out of the operating budget that's already a little tight.
What was the total for it?
$4,085.
Anybody have any questions about it?
No.
I'll make a,
Got to be done.
I'll make a motion, we approve Seth to expend $4,085 from the Equipment Capital Reserve Fund for the tank alarm.
I'll second that. It's a must.
All those in favor? Aye.
Awesome. So the last thing, I wanted to run by the board and see if I could get a consensus. So, I was asked if we could on July 2nd, before we take off for, July 4th holiday weekend, if, the board had any objections of them closing town hall for one hour, from noon to 1 to do an employee appreciation luncheon. We've tried to do it before by keeping the building open, and it's just too hard, because the only room big enough is up here, to do it, and having to keep people as lookouts down on the first floor kind of defeats the purpose of having the employees get together. In the past, we've taken a whole day to do certain things, and I know that is an inconvenience, so that we figured that maybe the 1 hour at lunchtime, would be a good compromise to recognize the employees and do something as a group, without actually closing off services for the entire day or anything like that. So if the board is okay with that, I just want to get a consensus to make sure there wasn't any issues.
You think an hour, should we even like to?
I think an hour would be fine. We're going to set it up here, and we'll have the employees come through, spend a little time together and chat, organize, and then go back to work.
I'm all for it. Yeah, I'm all for it.
No problem.
I'm good with it.
No problem.
Need a motion? Are you good?
No, I'm good with the consensus, as long as they're good. All right, thank you. That's all I got, too.
All right, so we go right down to approval of the minutes. Anybody see any issue with the June 10th, 2025 public minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 10th, 2025 public session minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the consent agenda approval, gentlemen.
I move we approve the consent agenda for June 24th, 2025, as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, discretionary action on requests for appointments, we have none, so we'll go down to public input, limited to 5 minutes per person on any governmental town business.
Good evening,
Richardson, how are
gentlemen.
you?
Good evening.
Donna Richardson again. Couple of questions for you. Who establishes town land leases, and what's the process and protocol that the town goes through for town land leases?
Are you referring to town land being leased to someone or the town leasing land from someone?
Town leasing land from someone. Thank you for that question, Mr. Shea.
From somebody else.
Ask that.
Honestly, I'm not aware of a situation. The only land leases that I am aware of or I've been a part of is Shibley's long-term lease, and that's been done per warrant article.
Okay, so if the town is using someone's private property, it has to go to warrant?
No. It depends on what the circumstances are.
Well, the culvert on Route 11 that you commented on a few minutes ago, in the process in negotiating with the state, it was determined that the town water line will no longer run underneath the culvert and down the brook, which means it now comes over my property and then runs the length of my property to service all of those homes. And there was never any discussion with me about that line coming across my family property. So I'd like to know how my family is going to be compensated for the use of that line. Because taking it out is not an option, given the number of homes that it serves.
I would direct that to the water superintendent based on the adopted policies for municipal water use.
And
Because you have assumed a certain set of stipulations by having water, whether it be seasonal or year-round. The other option is they'll disconnect it and take it out of there. But that's not a land lease. Usually it's through a right-of-way, utility right-of-way.
And it's not.
Okay.
And when I went to the water department, I was told to bring it to the board. So here I am.
We'll take it out.
Take it out.
I mean, I don't know what the answer is other than the water services those residents. If they don't want water, they don't,
Have to remove it.
yeah.
We'll remove it from your property.
So approximately 20 homes are not going to get.
You're trying to
water.
ask us for compensation for a water line. We're not gonna compensate you for running a water line down there. I'm sorry, but we can't.
I'm asking how the process goes. It was assumed by the town that there would be no problem putting it wherever the town wanted to.
Okay.
And to
And
me,
We're telling you we'll remove it, no problem. We'll remove it.
so who contacts all of those residents to let them know that they have to come up with another water source?
Well, this is all moving and, you know, in fluid, obviously, hearing about it just now, so we're gonna have to find out how to go forward with that. But if that's what you wish, we can do that, no problem.
I would like to have a conversation with somebody about how we're going to do it.
We
Because
just take it out. We're just gonna,
That-
oh, you
that-
mean to push forward, you mean to push forward with it? Oh, okay.
it doesn't make sense to me to go up to a whole bunch of residents and say, we're arbitrarily deciding to take your water away because somebody else, the line now runs on somebody else's property. So I would like,
So are you looking for compensation
I'm looking
from
for,
them or from the town?
I'm looking for somebody to sit down with me and tell me what the bigger picture plan is on where that line is going to live. If it's going to stay on my family land, then we need to have another conversation because there's not a town right of way through there.
All right, well,
And I'm not necessarily asking for compensation per se, Paul. I'm asking that the town respond in some type of reasonable manner and not just assume that I am willing to have that line there.
The
Because
water
the-
superintendent said that that was never part of the discussions she had with you.
Nobody's had a discussion with me, Ryan.
It
That's
wasn't, the water superintendent didn't have a discussion about you before that water line was moved.
We had a conversation that it was going to need to be moved. And where it might go, and no conversation since then. And then I come back, and there's the line running right through the property. I refuse, be it on record, I refuse to have any personal liability on my property for a town employee who may be injured traversing my property to maintain a water line. That's an unfair assumption on the part of the town that I be responsible for that. If a tree were to come down and break that line, I refuse to be responsible for that. So I think we need to have some type of communication and some type of agreement on what we're going to do, shy of, oh, look, here's a water line on your property.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recommend that we have the Water Department come in and perhaps provide us with a detailed map of where this water line is exactly.
Where it's gonna live.
Sure. Relative to the property line, relative to any right-of-ways or easements, and let's be more knowledgeable.
There's a
And
very,
with an
that's a good
option
request.
of where we would move it to if we moved it.
Should-
With an
yes.
option.
I think we take it out.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that's
here's
simple
what-
enough.
Here's what we'll do. Pushing forward, we will get with the water superintendent, we'll speak to her. If it, you know, works out in your favor to be able to run it that way, we'll discuss where it's gonna go, where it's gonna live permanently. If not, we have no problem rerouting it,
Just
moving it.
remove
We'll
it.
decide what to do when we speak to the water superintendent, we figure out where it's gonna be permanently living, and then we'll go from there.
And that's fine. And there's the very real potential that it can stay where it is if we have some type of formalized agreement that is a hold harmless to me
Yeah,
and my insurance.
Absolutely.
That
Well,
just,
that would
understandable.
require an easement, and that's something that I think we would be obligated to
Yeah.
create and
We
execute.
just gotta,
and all of that's fine.
We have to-
Where I'm coming from is, boom, there's a line. And it doesn't appear that we've had any conversation about any of the rest of the parameters around it. And unfortunately, we live in a litigious society. It shouldn't be that way, in my personal opinion, but that's what it has evolved to. And forgive my language, I got to cover my own ass.
no
I
problem.
refuse to lose my
Understandable.
family property if somebody gets hurt.
If you'll allow us, let us speak to her, and then we'll come up
Absolutely.
with something, something on
Might
how to
even-
push forward with it, and then we will either reach out to you, or she will reach out to you. Somebody will get a hold of you shortly, and we will We'll work
come out
through,
with a resolution to this.
work through.
That's really what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Second thing on my,
Donna, you only had 5 minutes.
pardon?
You only had 5 minutes.
I have to-
You're at 5.
I think.
That's 6, but that's okay.
6 or 7 minutes now.
Can I have two more?
If you just rifle them real quick.
Okay, my thing that I asked, at the last meeting, permission to come to be an agenda item. 2+ years have gone by, all of summer '23 and into fall '23. I came to just about every single meeting with 20+ items about a butter with some errant things. Nothing, absolutely nothing has been done. Every time I talk to the code enforcement officer in our buildings department, I get told, you're on my list. Or, go ask Ryan what he wants me to do. Or, has anyone else complained? Maybe it's not such a big deal. One of my concerns, Chief, you might be able to answer my question. I've gotten the answer previously, but I'm going to ask you as well.
Yeah.
Who's
It's not,
responsible for 911?
you can't Donna, you can't discuss it with them. Not now. This
Okay.
is just a public.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just public input.
We still don't have a 911 address on a building there. I want to know why nothing has been done in 2 years.
I believe that property needs to be surveyed.
No, the property she's talking about in question is a garage, not a dwelling.
Yeah. it goes
The
across.
house across the street where people reside have a house number on the front.
What's the third? The last
That's
last thing.
Talk about it.
all of that is wrapped up into, it's 2 years and nothing has been done. And when I asked to come to be on the agenda here, I was told, quote, "There is no new information and therefore nothing further to discuss." I think that it's been more than 2 years is more than enough reason for us to discuss something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry I ran over my.
No, you're fine, Donna, you're fine. Anybody else from public? Go ahead, Chief.
Town Administrator Heath, Parks and Rec, Public Works, and the Water Department for assisting us with a parking issue at Central Station. Things have already drastically improved and good collaborative effort, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's great. Good job.
Closing public input. We do have some non-public tonight, so we're gonna have to enter into non-public. I make a motion, we enter into non-public meeting per RSA 91-A:3, under A. Read it. You don't need to read it. All those, were there any roll call?
Drew Carter, yes.
Okay, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I have a second on the going into?
Yeah, second.
Okay, then he- All right, thank you, gentlemen, we're going to non-public. No.